What up, though? This is Thomas, and welcome back to Dollar Store Cinema. It's been a while. It's been almost 6 months, but yeah, I know what I want to talk about. So, I love hood movies, and of course, you have the great classics Menace Society, Boys in the Hood, Paid in Full, but even lower budget movies I enjoy, especially because as a creator, I admire anytime somebody takes a leap of faith and creates something. And I was reminded of this with Cameron's Killa season, and it's like a made to DVD movie essentially, and it's starring Cameron. It got Joel Santana, it got Hell Rell, and it even has Michael K. Williams, rest in peace, who is most known for being Omar on The Wire, and then later being in Lovecraft Country as Jonathan Major's character's dad. And so I was watching that again, and I'm not gonna lie, some of the choices they made I enjoyed, but some of it is just absolutely laughable. Now, obviously, I'm not necessarily judging the quality because it's a low budget movie. You have the same quality as Spike Lee's Bamboozled, which was used with prosumer equipment, but the directing isn't as masterful as a Spike Lee or Ernest Dickerson, who worked on Spike Lee movies, then went on to create Juice, which is another hood classic. But there's that, and then there's 50 Cent's Before I Self Destruct, which I thought was really smart. He ended up having his CD, and along with his CD, he had the DVD of the movie that he both wrote and directed and starred. Um, and with both of these movies, they have the protagonists played by them, and they're basketball stars. And through either injury or life, they've had to pivot away from their dream of making it to the league as far as basketball is concerned, and then going into the street element, whether that means like drugs or becoming a hitman. And the movies in general, they're alright for what they are, and they're definitely enjoyable. They have a very cast of characters, which I like. But I was just thinking about one thing I would change in both of these movies. You have both 50 Cent and Cameron trying to play high schoolers, and at the time they are in their, I don't know, mid 20s, and so it's just completely unrealistic. You have Cameron, after they used real high school basketball footage where you can see clearly how old Mace and Killa was, and then cutting over to a grown man walking those high schools. He's basically saying the next day. It's like, no, it's not. It clearly isn't. I feel like they could have done what Jay-Z did in his music video Rock Boys, where you have his character, Nas, and Puff Daddy's character. They're all themselves in the music video, like in present day, but they also have three younger versions of them, uh, where they do a flashback to like the 80s, and it really worked, and the casting director was fire figuring that out. And I feel like Killer Season, no matter how low budget it was, just that little change could have definitely helped. And the same thing with Before I Self Destruct, where the intro you hear and you get to see sort of like, not necessarily highlights, but like still shots with the commentator over, basically talking about how great 50 Cent's character is at basketball and how he's essentially a street ball legend, and then he gets a, I think, a knee injury, and it like sidelines his career. And it's him again as an adult, but they're trying to play high schoolers, and it does not work. Black don't crack, but it definitely, y'all look like grown people out there. You look like 30-year-olds trying to act like 17-year-olds, and that math ain't mathing. And we sort of see it even in white America with Dear Evan Hansen, where, what's my man's name? Ben Platt, who I believe won the Tony for his portrayal, and they ended up making a movie, but you could see how old he was. Like, the rest of the casting was phenomenal. They all looked normal, but Ben Platt looked like that Steve Buscemi meme, like, hello, fellow kids. And if they would have chose to get somebody like Jordan Fisher, who, once he shaves, he looks fairly young. He definitely looks like he could be in high school. Or Andrew Barth Feldman, I think that's how you pronounce his name, who starred in No Hard Feelings. He looked like a child, like he's in his 20s, but he definitely looked like a high schooler. So, like, casting like that makes a big deal and a big difference. And so those are the two changes that I would have made when it came to those movies. And with Killa season, he had the high school highlights, which was cool, especially at the time. Mace was a whole pastor, and so it was cool seeing Mace like in high school, back when he was running the streets. But I would have suggested that they use footage from when Killa was in college, because he played college ball for a little bit, and again that would have helped him with the looking old as a high schooler. So I I think that definitely would have helped. But the the transition from them being high schoolers with the bald heads and all that, and then him walking the halls as like a 27-year-old trying to act 17 was just super distracting.